Has the recent changes to the Bitcoin law affected the circular economy there? What are you seeing? What are you hearing?
I mean, short answer, no. I wouldn't say it's affected the circular economy in a negative way at all whatsoever. Obviously, there's a lot of conversation going on, and the conversation is actually happening mostly between the Bitcoiners, the people who've moved here specifically or come to visit here specifically because they want to verify, Bitcoin country. But the locals themselves, I would say, the biggest question that they're having actually now is, okay, if Chivo doesn't exist, where can I put my Bitcoin? Where can I store my value? So the store actually has seen an influx of Salvadorans coming in and asking about what solutions are available to them. And the foreigners are there kind of having the philosophical conversation, right? So if we separate it, I wouldn't say it's been negative at all whatsoever. Yeah, there's a negative potential outlook as to what this deal means for the country, what it means for the people, what it means for people who've moved here, such as yourselves, who have brought your family and everything over here. But from the Salvadoran standpoint, it's actually they don't have enough education to understand what it means. I mean, myself, we were talking about this earlier. Do I know what the implications of an IMF deal actually are? No, being quite honest with you guys. And so the economy, the circular economy is still up and going. Bitcoin farmers markets are still there. People are still accepting Bitcoin. I don't think anyone has stopped accepting Bitcoin in El Zonte, which was a fear of mine. I thought, if I can't do my grocery shopping with Bitcoin, if I can't get food, I'm kind of in trouble. This is no longer Bitcoin country, but it's only been a few days, but everything's normal. Everything's going.
Did you see that tweet about someone who's like landlord basically cut their contract because they didn't want to accept fiat that had been converted from Bitcoin because they were afraid the bank was going to cut off their account? You read that?
I did. That's really unfortunate. I could see that as a possibility with people who are maybe newer to Bitcoin and don't understand how it works and have never transacted in Bitcoin. Because the services, that's actually going to be a very interesting to see how that plays out. Are these services going to continue offering their services? Are they going to be regulated to offer their services? And so that is a bit of a red flag, kind of a warning to see that just a regular person doesn't, or saying that their bank is not going to allow them to use Bitcoin, even though the landlord would never see a sat in their life. They're just going to get dollars to their bank account. That's an interesting one. That scares me a little bit.
So what do you see the potential impact then being? Do you have any opinion on that, or is it just kind of go day by day? But as of right now, nothing's really changed. Nothing material has happened. What's your outlook?
Yeah, I'll say this. I've said this from the beginning, and I've said this on many different podcasts before, that Bukele has a pretty decent track record. I would say probably one of the best within the leaderships of the leaders of the world. And so I'm going to continue trusting in that until I see a move that's actually negative for the entire country as a whole. I've never run a country. I'm running a little store, and I understand how difficult that is. So there has to be a vision. And right now I've moved here because I trust in that vision. Now, am I going to trust every decision he makes? No, but I am going to give him the benefit of the doubt until something that is completely out of the norm happens. Now, again, do I know what an IMF deal entails? No. He's loaning money. Do I feel, being sovereign, since we're here, to me means not owing anyone to anything, to anyone. It means being able to move freely. And if this decision does not allow you to move freely, then it does kind of hinder what my expectations, and I'm sure many people's expectations were of El Salvador. And so I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. We'll see how things play out over the next, I think it's going to play out very shortly, within 3 to 6 months at most. We'll see how that goes. I think that, if you follow Bitcoin and you follow Bitcoin's price charts, then or we're at least all waiting for that 18-month peak after the halving. So we're in that time frame right now where I think a lot can happen, and then that can also derail or can change the path that we move into. I mean, this contract, from my understanding, hasn't even been fully signed yet. So anything could happen. Right now, things kind of just full steam ahead with on the Bitcoin side of things, at least from the store's perspective.
What about from your perspective on Bitcoiners here? Is everyone pretty much still full steam ahead?
I would say everyone. I would say most people have feel like they've got punched in the face, you know, and no one likes to get punched in the face. But then you decide, all right, am I going to get back up? Am I going to be ready to fight again? Or is this where where everything stops? And I don't think anyone's stopping. I don't think anyone's throwing in the towel quite yet. If anything, there are people who are punching back, and I think that's what a Bitcoiner does. I think that's what somebody, we're not giving up, and everything felt so good for so long. I've been here for 4 years, and for the past 4 years, everything's been roses. And
well, I have a question regarding that. So you've been here basically since the beginning of Bitcoin being legal tender. Just in general, how have you seen things change and evolve over those 4 years?
From a Salvadoran perspective, I've definitely seen a growth in users, in understanding, in people questioning, what it is, how to use it. And it's been a positive impact. It's been a positive change. Whereas at the very beginning, I would say most Salvadorans were not aware of what Bitcoin was, how it worked. And even within the first year, there were a lot of naysayers, because I think, Bitcoin was September 7th, 2021. So it was about a year before we reached the peak of 69,000. And then by 2023, Bitcoin was down to 2022, I think Bitcoin was down to 15,000.
Mm-hmm.
So in that time frame, a lot of the local vendors who were using it were very against it. Yeah, exactly. Not really understanding what it was, not understanding that this is actually the time to accumulate, because they've never come across a situation. Most people don't have savings, so they're not investing. They don't know how those cycles work, and the outlook was very negative.
And to be fair, right, it's not just El Salvadorans. It's everyone. I mean, we've all tried to orange pill people before, right? And it's not the easiest thing to do, especially in a bear market. So I don't put any fault on the Salvador people for not picking that up, because most people don't.
Totally. And you're not going to know how anything works until you're kind of thrown into the fire.
Yeah.
And then you figure it out as you go.